थिंक लाइक अ जंगली ना दिमाग खराब कर दो कि यू एंड अप पेइंग कि नहीं यार कंटेंट देखना है, अगर अच्छा है कंटेंट तो यू विल एंड अप पेइंग. एंड इंडिया में कैसे पैसे बने, लाइक YouTube यूज्ड टू शो 2-3 एड्स, अब साला 15 एड दिखाते हैं. We spoke about like Astro Talk is 100 million plus, Friend is 40-50 million, Seekho is 50 million.
There's a company which is a human astrologers. They build a top of the funnel AI astrology which is just for basic stuff. फिर जब पैसे देने की बात आई तो आपको actual astrologer से बात करा दो. I was talking to one large gaming company founder and I was asking them कि आप लोग AI कहाँ use कर रहे हो? He said the biggest use is fraud prevention. I think ByteDance का एक बहुत बड़ा ऐप है Hongbu करके earns about $7 billion of revenue in China alone every year. There are set of conversations that you will never have with a human.
Sex is always the biggest genre, right? I mean, soft porn, whatever it is. That's where I think everywhere starts. AI in fintech, AI in content, AI companions, and a lot of these things will become mainstream.
But at least till today, what content will consumer like? Like it's still a problem to be solved.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 32 of the Asymmetric Podcast. We are missing Shantanu today. Unfortunately, he had a severe backache. Middle age is clearly catching up with him. So we wish him well. We are continuing this episode nevertheless. As we are always telling our teams, consistency is key. You have to show up every single week. That's what we are doing. We have a very, very special guest with us today, Rahul Chowdhri, Managing Director at Stellaris Ventures Partners, one of the premier VCs in the country. Rahul has been a VC for 18 years, tracking consumer tech largely. And we were very keen to chat about the emergence of new consumer tech models in the age of AI. Welcome, Rahul, on the episode. Big change that you guys will notice is maybe a difference in production, a difference in voice, maybe some lighting here or there and some shadows. We've just changed our executive producers. We are very proud to be now working with 01 Network. We just tell them to start the recording so that they can know that now they can go have their chai nashta. One of the things that has been largely in conversations now for the last 2 years and especially the last 1 year has been AI. And we have not done enough on AI. We did one episode with Akrit, but that was at a time when it was still largely models being the center of conversation. And the biggest debate at that point of time was, should India develop its own model? And he's working as an AI advisor to the country, to the government. He had his own views. But we now seem to have evolved from the age of models to now consumer tech actually adopting AI significantly, right? And there seem to therefore be discussions around emergence of new models that will happen, new consumer tech models that may or may not take place. But at least the application layer of AI now is becoming mainstream. And that is something that we have not discussed enough about, because I think models we were so far behind. And I've got, like, if I had a 10 rupee note for every time people told me that real AI to valley mein ho raha hai, India mein kuch nahi ho raha hai. We are too far behind. I would be very, very rich by now. But I think that phase has now gone. We have come to the conclusion that the models will keep getting built. Maybe India will build its own models. We'll see where we get to. But the game seems to be now moving on to the application layer of AI, where true capitalists, whether it's an entrepreneur or a venture capitalist, a VC firm, will try and see that, अच्छा ठीक है यार, model वाला story तो India में कुछ play out नहीं हुआ. And I'm sure as a VC you would have seen a bunch of attempts coming, trying, etc. We had Sarvam from India, which has got funded. But it's always a question mark. But now that it's moving to the application layer, I think the game is getting much more interesting, right? Most founders were trying to build brands over the last 2-3 years. Over the last 6 months to 12 months, you've seen the emergence of everything quick, whether it's quick com to then quick services, now quick vertical commerce from fashion, like the Lenskart 2.0, FirstCry 2.0, everything will become quick, like a Nykaa 2.0 will get built. So that's one trend that we saw that we discussed, a couple of episodes back. And I think the new emergence, at least we also try to think where the country will go. And looks like 2025 may be the year of a lot of consumer tech adoption of AI becoming mainstream. Would love to sort of discuss, what you are seeing in the space. What do you think will happen? What has happened in the last 12 months, or what critically may happen in the next 12, right? Because enterprises will adopt it the last, right? I know we are hearing Accenture is adopting, McKinsey is adopting, etc. But it seems like AI in edtech, AI in fintech, AI in content, AI companions, and a lot of these things will become mainstream before the real enterprise adoption of AI, if you can call it. Do you have a view there?
No, so actually, because I focus on consumer primarily, I would say as a fund, we have been bullish on AI. Like till last year or so, there were not enough consumer applications being built with AI. That was, I think, at least I used to feel there's not enough to do. In fact, a lot of new founders are building enterprise applications on top of AI models for the US market, which made obvious sense because there are some, like traditional software moving to AI-led software. There are some obvious things where enterprises were spending money, and then you move them to a new or a better way to spend money on. Right? One of the other challenge of not use, like a lot of consumer applications not built with AI first approach has been the cost of inference.
Yeah.
Because it is such a high volume interaction that was in a lot of models where you need like a conversational model. You have that challenge. That cost has now come down considerably, at least on the chat side and hopefully soon on the voice side as well. So that is the other reason I think things are not happening but are happening now. So if you want, I just put some structure, like a one page on Google Docs to just showcase at least some thinking, and then we can go into deeper discussion on at least the framework that I had in mind.
Sure.
So it's a Google Doc only, it's not very detailed one. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
So what I have done here is I have taken for a moment health, education, and financial services out.
Okay.
So right beyond, and there are a lot of applications I would say can be built on those three areas, and we are seeing them. We can go there also. But on the pure content side, like there are three kind of next level of businesses we see being built. One, as I was saying, conversational businesses. So you can have an astro, which is AI astro, AI religion, AI companion / therapy, AI dating. There could be an application which is to help senior citizens. We are seeing AI concierge services. So somebody can, do a research on a good laptop to buy within 50,000 rupees for me and buy it. There are people building of that kind of book made for me.
Got it.
There are shopping assistants / stylists being built. These are all back and forth conversational kind of businesses.
Yeah.
Then there are consumption kind of businesses. In conversational, as I was saying, there is an ongoing, AI usage on a real-time basis. Content is where you build one time using AI, but then consumption doesn't need too much of AI. Like when you are consuming a regular consumer. Yeah. And again, different modalities there, different purposes, entertainment. There are companies like Dashtune, edutainment, companies like Seekho, and then educating people on certain topic, not just education itself, but educating people on certain topic. And then there is interactivity. So like, I don't think we have one in India, but I've seen one or two companies in US where they're building a social network where all you are doing is following a bot.
Yeah.
That bot is posting what I'm doing every day, but you are connected with the bot, not with another human being. Right? And there are gaming kind of applications where we are seeing initially AI being used for asset creation, but then AI being also used for game design. And then over time, some non-playing character kind of piece. But broadly, outside of health, education, financial, I would say these are top buckets, at least of things we are seeing, and at least I would say things which I am positive on. Because each one of them can become a large market. Clearly, the advantage is because you don't need let's say in the conversational side, you don't need a human element on the supply side. Suddenly, the cost of providing that service or the gross margin that the business can earn is much, much higher. Because otherwise in the world,
for me, actually, that was the biggest question. If I see content and interactive, because you're technically capitalizing cost of making the game or the content once, and then you can have a multiple, like thousands of people can play that game or can consume that content and pay for it. Inherently, your gross margins would be much higher compared to one-to-one conversations for an astro bot, right? Which is continuously transcribing, then inferencing, then again processing, then saying something back. So your AI server costs, model costs would be much higher for conversational versus content or interactive, right? Nahi kya?
So I was not comparing one or the other. I was more comparing a human-led astro service versus an AI-led astro service.
You're saying
So
that today my cost of replacing a human astrologer because the inference costs have come down, I can give a near 90th percentile same service at a lower cost than a real astrologer.
Yeah, and this cost will come down even further.
Even more.
So there is a current cost, but if you think 3 years out, it will only go down from here.
Yeah.
And Rahul, just one related question to the above one: as costs go down, does it really mean that, because all of these actually products exist today, right, which are non-AI products in all of these segments, in the conversational one. Now, does it mean that these markets are going to like have a super normal growth from here because the cost of actually using an astro service has gone down significantly, and that being passed on to the consumer? That, let's say if you were booking an astrologer for 1,000 rupees for an hour, now you can possibly do it at 100 rupees an hour. I'm telling you, we didn't touch upon, there is a technical point to bringing the cost down also, is that there is a lot of caching which can be done because 80% of the questions are same. Right? Yeah. We have seen that 80% of the questions are same. So you need to reply with the same answer. So it will come down drastically, as you were saying. But does this lead to like market expansion in a massive way?
So see, very interesting question. That one possibility is if same number of customers are using with reduced price, basically that means market size has shrunk. But with every deflation that you see due to technology, generally market expands.
Correct.
Right. So today, if I am hesitant to use or paid astrologer more than once a week, I'll be now maybe using it every day. Or more people will be using it who are not getting
more number of users who are, let's say, in fact, this should bring a lot of people who are not doing any commerce transaction, let's say, on internet.
Exactly.
As first time users also to start doing these transactions. Right, so should lead to technically to a market expansion rather than overall reduction because the AOV has gone down.
Exactly. At least frequency will also go up. Ideally, what you're saying.
Frequency will also go up. Number of new people will come up. So,
and the beautiful part, Revant, is that all of these things because of AI will be available 24/7.
Yeah.
Right. So that also expands. That if I want to speak to someone at 2 a.m. in the night. Today, you don't have a concierge who will pick up my call and answer for my query. In fact, we have done these experiments. This works. This is like we are not talking theory. This is all legit.
But that same more, Chirag, sorry, you've done this in the commerce perspective. कि वेबसाइट पे कोई आता है और उसको डाउट है, तो कॉल सेंटर को बंदे रखने के लिए बहुत महंगा पड़ता है. If you have a AI sales assistant, even at 2 a.m., you are able to get that conversion higher, which effectively gives the order increase even at that point of time.
Correct. So we put a call me back button. Now you can click that call me button at any point of time and speak to, and also conclude the transaction within that call. Right. You don't have to go back to the website and then do. So that's where it is headed. I think, the only piece I think which is getting or which you need to catch is the intent. That if you catch that intent, then I think taking the user from that point to closing the transaction on voice call itself is becoming much easier, possible, cost efficient, 24/7. All of that is becoming possible.
Yeah, and in fact, in some of these things, we also see privacy as a use case. See, when you're talking to another human being, there are a few things that you don't want to discuss or cannot discuss are not open. At least in some of the early signs I've seen, there are set of conversations that you will never have with a human being. Right, in a therapy use case, in a astrology use case, and so on. In a health use case also.
Yeah.
So that's another use case that opens up in some of these business models.
But one more question here, Rahul. Do people know that they are talking to an AI, or is it just that पीछे AI है, but उनको लग रहा है कि वो असली astrologer से बात कर रहे हैं? What is happening now? Actually, what you're seeing in the market?
All cases, consumers know they're talking to AI. In fact, that is the beauty. That I feel, like sometimes we feel that I only want to talk to a human being. At least, the early adopters, and they are all very happy talking to AI. Like, look at ChatGPT's use case from India. Right? I think their largest or second largest user base is from India.
Yeah.
Uh, so
No, I correct. You are right that it is now getting accepted that I'm speaking to AI. No problem as long as it's answering within the context. In fact, I have seen some of those transcripts wherein people are asking just to check whether it is AI. People are asking who is the Prime Minister of India. Right in a commerce conversation, somebody is asking this. I think they were trying to check that it's an outside context question. Ideally, shouldn't get answered. If it is a human, they will answer. So, or they will have a very different answer to this. So people do all of that to check. But I think just looking at some of those statistics that we have, almost 50% people pick up the calls, and out of that they are having like average 2-minute conversation. We are having like if abandoned card conversions with humans was 10%, we are getting close to 7-8% already.
wow, amazing. Yeah.
So broadly, I could put all the conversational, if people know it's AI, broadly all of those, whether it's astrology, whether it's religion, whether it's senior citizen needs, concierge, I would actually put everything in companion because it's solving for your need to have someone answer your questions right now. As you said, ChatGPT broadly is being used as a companion only today by most people, whether it's for work or it's for personal. Like, in fact, I know someone who uses ChatGPT as its her coach, right? Like a leadership coach. It's very interesting where the use cases are, but broadly the conversational part is let's say companionship on across these use cases, and each one of them could be a large business. And you're saying the other two are also interestingly now seeming like, and these are India specific use cases you're saying, not just India to global.
I don't follow too much of global market, so these are all India specific use cases.
Very interesting.
Right.
Very interesting.
Also, I think some cases there is some vertical impact, like astrology, right?
Yeah.
If you have to answer a specific question, you have to refer to some science of astrology, right? So in those cases, a horizontal bot may not work as well. And again, technology may evolve. A lot of these horizontal bots also can't go deep into conversation, at least till now. Like they don't have too much of memory of what was the last conversation, who was my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, what was my challenge with them.
Yeah.
And those kind of things today, at least that's a challenge in the application that we are seeing people are building for those memory, long-term memory, short-term memory. You want to talk to an astrologer, which is we're going to have longer conversation with you. Whereas somebody wants to talk to an astrologer who will quickly tell me the answer.
Yeah.
So, अलग-अलग अवतार्स बन रहे हैं उस केस में.
Got it.
Is how we are seeing it.
Very interesting. And from a content perspective, I know you're saying you don't follow the global markets much, but my understanding is that at least initially the belief was that there is no monetization in India, right? And then over time, at least if I look at the biggest success as of today, if I can spend a little bit time on Pocket FM, which is I think now at a 200 million revenue run rate, at least my understanding of that business is the business model also evolved, right? While it started in 2018 and initially was largely summaries of books and mythology and India focused, the engagement time was not very high. But when they pivoted to long form audio entertainment, which was modeled on more TV series in an audio format, and let's say 8 to 10 minutes per episode, etc., is when their engagement started increasing. But the true market validation / monetization happened when they went global. And then the global expansion to a US or a Europe gave them the very high ARPU. Like from what I understand, their ARPU in the US is about $150 a year, whereas in India is still about $10 a year. And again, we'll come to the next stage of evolution of India, but at least they went before UPI autopay came in, right? And we had the chat with Anand Lunia on how UPI autopay has changed the game for content in India. But at least that was the initial success, which showed to people that content can create large outcomes. Like content consumption is going to increase, but this was still all humans. Like they have a large creative team. I think now they have started leveraging AI in terms of script writing, in terms of voiceovers. Let's say humans can be replaced there, or a co-pilot for creating, let's say, a cliffhanger or a feedback on how pacey should an episode be, etc. And they will now move into more and more AI use cases because they're almost like an enterprise, large business at a $200 million, right? Now they'll have to start leveraging and seeing how can content. But what we are seeing interestingly is the people who are leaving Pocket FM and saying we'll start content companies seem to be more AI first. Is that a fair conclusion to make?
Yeah, see, I would assume that Rohan of Pocket FM was starting today, he will also say, I will do AI first content. Right? वो एक era था, and clearly they have an amazing library which was built when AI was not that easily available. Right? Now that AI is available, it doesn't make sense to continue being pure human-based. You want a human-assisted AI in that case.
Yeah.
But if I'm starting afresh with zero content at my end, then if AI can actually either increase the speed or lower the cost or both, I think it makes sense to start that way from day one. Right? And I just want to be clear, see, when we say content, AI is an interesting way to generate content. But at least till today, what content will consumer like? That I think is still very, it's still a problem to be solved. Not every episode or every series do well. And there is certain human element needed to at least have a view on what will people like. Now then you basically, make it happen using AI. But जो story है, जो thinking है कि क्या characters होंगे, क्या storyline चलेगी, वो मतलब that has to be solved. There is no content company which can become large without solving that problem. उसके बाद आप AI use कर रहे हो बनाने के लिए content.
Would you say that?
थोड़ी सी possibility.
So Rahul, is it fair to say that, let's say, marginal cost of producing content? Let's say if we look at Netflix, I think Netflix spends close to 40% of their revenue in producing content. Some kind of that number. Is that coming down significantly? And I was at least curious that, this looks like a bit of, if marginal cost is coming down, then I like to draw this as a parallel to fashion. That, what we saw in Shein, that they were able to produce, test quickly a design in the market and then go back and produce more. Is this the same, moment which is happening in content? I was reading that, produce 5 episodes, just see that, if it is working, and then produce the remaining 15-20. Instead of, incurring the full production cost day one, taking 6 months, now you are like producing like a series every 2 days. Is that where, are you seeing some real signs of this?
Yeah, definitely. And then see, in audio that is clearly happened. Right? Comics also, at least when Dashtun was able to do it, they could bring the cost down by 90% compared to human being doing it. Wow. I think video mein challenge has been the model itself, as in the Google VO3 model can get you 5-10 seconds of video with an audio lip sync to some extent. If you want to develop, let's say, a 2-minute episode, then you have to build scene by scene and then stitch them together today, right? But even that, if you have invested in teams that understand AI, that cost has significantly come down compared to doing a live shoot. So that is happening, but I would say another 2-3 years, this cost will, like, everybody will, whoever not uses this will basically find them at a cost disadvantage. Is how I would put it. The other one is, the testing part is one piece. See, that there are 2 elements. One is कि आप marketing के लिए AI use कर रहे हो, and what people do is कि live shoot तो करेंगे, but 2 episode AI को use करके बनाते हैं, YouTube पे डालेंगे, Instagram पे डालेंगे, and adoption के basis पे वो live shoot commence करेंगे, right? Lot of people do that, but then there are people who have taken a call कि यार हम तो पूरा episode ही ऐसे बनाएंगे.
Correct.
Right? So there
चलेगा नहीं तो नई सीरीज बनाएंगे.
नहीं तो बनाएंगे. And there are certain genres, their live shoots struggle. So any sci-fi, any world building kind of genre, any mythology kind of genre, right? वो live shoot में बहुत महंगा पड़ जाएगा.
Correct.
Right. Maybe love and romance might still do okay in live shoot, cost wise. So there are certain genres जो बिल्कुल ही, I think AI first makes more sense anyways.
Can I share my screen?
Rahul,
एक second, I'll just show you something. I was just, while doing some broad understanding, so I was looking at this Can you see this?
Huh?
Like these guys have 40,000 subscribers already. Everything is AI. So what you're saying, mythology, right? I don't know if you guys can hear the music.
Yeah.
I think maybe you can't. Okay. This is the first pain point, right? I think the YouTube paid subscribers will go up significantly for all of this. Like the sound quality and the video is phenomenal. And what I like is within like 1 to 2 minutes, they finish the full episode. It's fully AI generated. And I see a
Revant,
lot of
curiously,
Indian
why do you like
mythology
that
like
they
this.
finish it in 2 minutes?
यार बिकॉज उतना टाइम नहीं है मतलब स्टोरी पता है देखो अगर मेरे को लंबा देखना है कुछ मूवी तो आई विल आइदर गो थ्रू थिएटर और आई नो व्हेन आई स्विच ऑन नेटफ्लिक्स कि आज मेरे पास 2 घंटे हैं मूवी देखने के लिए so my read of YouTube Premium, and of course this is the second one I've opened. I have a YouTube Premium separate account. If I want to hear something, like for example, our audience may not know this, but 44% Rahul of our subscribers are YouTube Premium subscribers. So they listen to our podcast. They don't see this podcast as much because 1.5 घंटा अगर सुनना है तो you would hate an ad every 5 minutes, right? So it's very hard to.
And we are not pretty people to look at for 1.5 hours. That's also
That's
true,
another
by the way.
correct. That's another piece. But one is at least I know what I'm looking for when I'm looking for just कि यार 5 मिनट का ब्रेक है कुछ तो इंटरेस्टिंग देखते हैं करके. Second, though, what I think they are solving for is the non-YouTube premium subscribers as well. Who अगर तू बहुत लंबा करेगा ना तो 3 बार ऐड आएगी तो ब्रेक that break is too long. Like people will not watch for so long then with ads because
ये बात ये this is satiation of content हो रहा है जो अपन जो बात कर रहे थे ना this definitely leads to my sense is if people were spending X amount of hours on social media that is going up because of these snackable content 2 minutes each.
yes
जितना भी बीच में टाइम मिल रहा है like getting into a car okay you are watching one video.
Correct.
Getting off a call you are watching a video.
Correct.
But ये बताओ I have seen while this marginal cost of building a video has definitely come down, there are these negative consequences of this. I've seen, people use these AI technologies for, let's say, when we have to register a merchant, there is this KYC onboarding which happens. In that you do CPV, which is visit.
Like,
and I've seen a video which I will 100% pass. It's AI generated. It shows the warehouse. It shows the person, it shows the board, that is the name of the company. And I'm telling you, no risk I can catch it.
wow.
So maybe Rahul, that's an opportunity which is probably second order effect ki fraud technologies maybe you should think about investing in a company.
नहीं I was talking to one large gaming company founder and I was asking them कि आप लोग AI कहाँ use कर रहे हो? He said the biggest use is fraud prevention. And this is like a real money gaming. तो वहाँ bots भी होते हैं, 2 लोग collude कर रहे हैं. Sorry, not your exact example, Chirag, but I think AI for fraud prevention is going to be a big use case. वो challenge तो है. Any new technology, there are always going to be bad actors. Hopefully, there will be somebody trying to prevent them also.
But coming back on the content piece, Rahul, one I was seeing is this full AI content video, which I think will take time because monetization is unclear. For example, in let's say this studio, right, which is making such snackable content. Unless I am a YouTube paid subscriber where YouTube technically makes money, I will need to then pay for ads. Maybe ads as a business model, I don't think has ever been exciting. Like a YouTube channel making some $20 million of YouTube ads, I don't think is an exciting business per se. So how this gets monetized eventually on an app through content people will see. But what I'm seeing is interestingly, erstwhile radio, right? Like RJs used to be there and people used to listen to radio. They are now pivoting to a lot of audio content and people seem to be subscribing to it. So people, I've spoken to a few people who have taken YouTube premium service because they want to listen to a horror story every day that comes in Bhojpuri or Bengali, for example. And this is happening on YouTube, right? And I'm assuming this is a little part and parcel of how the content apps, the audio first apps have also evolved, whether it's there are multiple examples now of UPI autopay enabling a lot of these content apps to monetize. But where do you think, like, this was pre-AI again? I think there was content, there was UPI autopay that we discussed. Pocket FM largely monetized in the US, but last 2 years we have seen a lot of India first content being paid for, like Cuckoo FM claims to be $100 million, and a lot of these are at 50 million revenue, right? And now I think there's a next stage where these audio apps are now coming up with video series as well, which was popularized in China, Southeast Asia, etc. So how is this because AI is enabling it, or is it just that Indian founders are being very smart and figuring out these opportunities in real time?
Sure, I don't think this is AI is the reason for these formats to come.
Okay.
It is the fact that Chirag was mentioning कि हम सबका attention span कम होता जा रहा है, right? Lot of time is spent in watching YouTube shorts, Insta reels and all, which shows कि वो एक डेढ़ मिनट में हमें कुछ entertainment चाहिए, कुछ dopamine hit चाहिए, right? Travel कर रहे हैं, कुछ भी बोर हो रहे हैं, रात को बैठे हुए हैं. So what these guys are doing, and this is a format that is now famous both in US and China, is कि एक डेढ़ मिनट में I want the dopamine hit, right? And if you then what people are saying is उसको हम 70 से 80 मिनट की एक सीरीज बनाएंगे, एक डेढ़ मिनट में आपको एक एपिसोड खत्म हो जाएगा. You end with a cliffhanger, you watch the second episode and the third episode. I'll talk about monetization separately, but just in terms of numbers, I think there are 3 apps which are US focused, built from China, shot in Eastern Europe. So live shoot done in Eastern Europe, built for US. Each of them are in the $200 to $300 million revenue range, right? Annually.
Wow.
Right. I think these are named like Drama Box, reel shots, and so on.
And
similarly, in
Rahul,
China,
are these doing Chinese content or
no,
are they
English
doing
content. So script China. See, the interesting part we have seen is कि जो IP है ना, वो काफी universal है. मतलब if you look at IP on Pocket FM, right, वो Secret Billionaire या जो है, उसका एक फॉर्म हर कंटेंट प्लेटफॉर्म पे है वर्ल्ड में से, राइट, अडेप्टेड टू दैट पर्टिकुलर कल्चर. तो ये बेसिकली these apps basically they started first in China actually. So if you look at I think ByteDance का एक बहुत बड़ा ऐप है Honggu करके, मैं नाम प्रोनाउंस नहीं कर पाता, but it became very large. It is actually about 7. So that particular segment, short micro drama, earns about $7 billion of revenue in China alone every year. It's close to $2 billion of revenue in US right now. Monetization models are slightly different. In China, it is more ad-driven. US, it is more user-paid model. But that is the scale they've gone. And that is a clear indication कि consumer को वो short form का content देखना है. तो जो अभी इंडिया में आप देख रहे हो कि either an audio company launching it and we have a company, Flick TV and few others, so basically they are saying कि consumer को ये देखना है तो एक alternate OTT platform बनेगा. More top down, the script has to be thought differently on people watching these episodes, that each episode finish in 2 minutes or 1 minute, in that range.
crazy? I was just checking, the China OTT market is 16 billion. If you're saying 7-8 billion is being done by micro drama, already 50% of the market is
50% से ऊपर users of internet users in China are on these apps.
Oh wow. And this is, Rahul, just clarifying that this trend started pre-AI, right? So it's
हाँ, इसमें
clearly...
ये live shoots, इसमें तो AI है ही नहीं, right? But yes, because it is डेढ़ मिनट के episode, most likely propensity to pay is going to be slightly lower. What people have to now figure out is how do you build this content? Like you can't build this in a Yash Raj or Dharma production way.
Correct.
आपका your script is the king, actors are not the king. आपका जो set है वो, it doesn't matter. You actually want to keep the cost very low. And story is what you hope consumers get attached to.
I think broadly, Revant, what you were saying, I think the entire media landscape itself is changing then. Right from production, wherein the production costs are going down, to storytelling, where storytelling is also not like, okay, I'm going to hook you for 30 minutes and then release something. You have to do that in 60 seconds now. Consumption is changing. I think it's only mobile. It's no more TV. All of these formats, I'm assuming, are mobile first or mobile only. So consumption is changing, and then we are saying monetization also changing. These are not ads first. Or in Rahul is saying in China it's ad first, but in India we are saying people are paying for every episode. So if you look at it from that point of view, सब कुछ ही change हो रहा है.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It might look like one small innovation, but I think the entire landscape is being reimagined.
But do you think, Rahul, if UPI autopay did not exist, do you think we would still have got this success? Because I think the trigger point seems to be UPI autopay. नहीं क्या?
So इसमें Revant, so first of all, there is no success right now. I think they are all very early days. People are making an attempt to become the market leader, but nobody in the market, like कोई ऐसा कोई नहीं है कि number 1 हो गया and all, and बहुत सारे users. सब ठीक ठाक है.
थोड़ा maybe definition has changed, but my understanding was that 100 million or so we would call people a success. नहीं क्या?
नहीं, so I just want to be clear. I think Pocket FM का business, the audiobook business is not this one, right? When we are talking about short microdrama, that is more video.
हाँ, that is different. Short microdrama is real. It's just started, but I'm talking about the UPI autopay enabling the Cuckoo FMs or the Seekos and the other.
There it has clearly been a very positive thing. Except it will work in a subscription model. See, when you are asking somebody to pay per content, then it is not as useful generally. But yes, I would say, let's say Cuckoo FM का या Seeko का जो subscription model.
Correct.
Just like when we swipe on Apple का app store.
Correct.
To pay for something, not in India but outside India. It is the same thing.
Got it.
You don't have to go back to customer every month to say कि मुझे वापस रुपए.
Correct.
मतलब enterprise में भी होता है ना, जब SaaS monthly billing है, but
what you're saying is the microdrama apps.
Maybe Rahul, this is not recurring. Revant, this is not auto pay. Maybe this is more micro payments. That India is now able to do 3-4 rupees.
So you're saying the 4 microdrama app. Let's take separate, right? So there is audio, which is subscription based, but let's specifically talk about, let's say, a Pocket TV, which is part of Pocket FM, or a Dash Tune, or a Dash Reel, or a Reel Saga, or a Flick TV, right? These are not going to be a subscription model, you're saying. These are going to be pay-per-view.
So I will again qualify. I think they still need to figure out. I'll tell you the pros and cons of both the models, right? See, pay-per-view में ये कि you get very easy trial going.
Correct.
2 एपिसोड देखे, स्टोरी पसंद आई, 4 और देख लिए, स्टोरी खत्म हो गई, शायद वापस ही नहीं. सो पेपर व्यू बिकम्स अ वेल बिहेवियर वाला बिजनेस, राइट? पेपर व्यू वर्क्स वेरी वेल व्हेन योर डेप्थ ऑफ कंटेंट इज लो. क्योंकि आप एक स्टोरी पे मार्केटिंग कर रहे हो, वो स्टोरी दिखाई, उससे पैसा कमाया, अगली स्टोरी बनाई, शायद नहीं चली, फिर तीसरी बनाई. सब्सक्रिप्शन इज अ मोर एंड्यूरिंग बिजनेस बिकॉज वो बंदा आपसे बार बार महीने के महीने रुपए दे रहा है. बट सब्सक्रिप्शन ऑल्सो रिक्वायर a much higher depth of content. अगर आपके पास 3 महीने का ही content है, viewable content, वो बंदा चला जाएगा. मतलब I would then you want to subscription also means some whales may reduce your revenue contribution. So you have to be very, you have to have fair use policy कि आप इससे ज़्यादा episode नहीं देख सकते हैं, blah blah blah, right? But Netflix doesn't do that. Netflix ये नहीं बोलता कि आप 50 मूवी नहीं देख सकते महीने की, right? So I think we will find over time where do these companies go. I feel personally as an investor, I would want a more subscription-driven business, as I said, because it is more predictable, much higher loyalty from consumer. Otherwise, consumers move from and that is the challenge that some of these 3 companies we talked about in US, they're facing. कि उनका retention on these apps have been very low. तो they make money. $40-50 में यूजर आता है, वो $50-60 कमा लेते हैं, but then वो गायब बंदा चला जाता है, उसकी स्टोरी खत्म होगी, चला गया. There is no crosswalk, not enough of that happening. So that is the problem of it becomes a very constant marketing-led business.
Got it.
So then you're saying the eventual model is probably the Netflix model. Subscription, depth of content,
I would want,
and you have to invest in that content
really
production.
Build that way.
My read is at least the initial guys who are now building this out in India are sort of starting with microtransactions where you want to hook them. So there's a free to watch, which is one free daily or weekly daily, and then track retention on that, engagement on that. Then you could obviously pay for faster access, and then eventually there'll be a pass, like a Swiggy One पे free delivery होती है, वैसे तुम एक पास ले लो तो तुम्हें इतने एपिसोड हफ्ते में तुम देख सकते हो, and so on and so forth. So that will be almost like subscription revenue. That will start going towards them then.
Almost.
But then that takes me to the audience. Like, what audience in India is watching it, right? If let's say the audience is tier 3, tier 4, where we have been At least we have discussed that on the podcast also. We've seen that Indus Valley report also. कि उनके पास माइक्रो पेमेंट्स के तो पैसे हैं, बट when it comes down to paying for these subscriptions, will they ever pay for it? Will they ever have affordability for it? They want to pay. Are there insights in terms of, is tier 1 watching this, is tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 watching this, where it is tilting?
So see, I think one is to have a view कि ये चाहिए किसको. If there is an Instagram reel user, अगर वो शिफ्ट कर रहा है,
ये तो एग्जिस्टेंशियल क्वेश्चन है, थोड़ा सा चाहिए क्योंकि दिस तो
हाँ, इट इज एंटरटेनमेंट. सो नहीं होगा तो भी चल जाएगा, बट अगर आपने बनाया तो किसके लिए बनाया, राइट? आपकी स्टोरी किसके लिए सूटेड है? लाइक एटलीस्ट ऑन सेट आई वुड से कि देयर इज नो बायस टू हमें 3 और 4 के लिए ही बनाना है. दिस कंटेंट वर्क्स फॉर अ रेगुलर ऑडियंस. इट इज बेसिकली सेइंग आप रील और यूट्यूब शॉर्ट्स पे टाइम स्पेंड करने के बजाय यू आर spending time on some engaging story, right? And I think over time what will happen is among these multiplayer different segments will emerge. हो सकता है कुछ players focus and do very well in tier 1 cities. कुछ players do very well in certain vernacular kind of content. So people will find their own.
That's what
niches.
I'm finding, Chirag. The more people I talk to, even in a premium city, like a person earning 50 lakh plus 0.1%, if you have a very strong affinity to your mother tongue, let's say, आप बंगाली हो, आप शुद्ध हिंदी वाले, like you know, from the north belt हो, you seek that community connection, right? And if you get great content in that language, even a tier 1 user will use it, because वो आज क्या ना, YouTube पे ढूंढना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. Yeah, for you to get that content on Instagram, there are not enough content creators who are saying कि I will do high quality content for a tier 1 user who wants to hear Bengali. Like I'm sure you've seen some cringe Bhojpuri content on Instagram and you will feel that once you follow Bhojpuri content, you'll only see that. But I think there is space for people who want to pay, because Netflix is not solving for it. Amazon Prime is not solving for it.
Yeah.
High quality vernacular content. Like I love to watch a Marathi or a Gujarati movie once in a while. But very few of them get made. Because commercially, उसके लिए ऑडियंस ढूंढना बहुत मुश्किल है. सो एज यू आर सेइंग, मीडिया एंड एंटरटेनमेंट लैंडस्केप इज चेंजिंग. इट्स नाउ मच इजियर इन अ पॉपुलेशन ऑफ 800 मिलियन टू मैच द लाइक्स एंड से कि यार इस कंटेंट के लिए भी एक ऑडियंस है. तो आई एग्री विद राहुल. आई थिंक इट विल गो मोर, सब अपना अपना एक. एक्चुअली कैन आई शेयर माई स्क्रीन अगेन? आई विल जस्ट शो यू समथिंग दैट आई वाज.
No, I agree that because of digital, that you'll be able to acquire users at different places, Bengali, Bhojpuri, etc. But I was more curious about the paying potential of that user. Tier 1 pay kar dega if Tier 1 is watching. But let's say if we have, at least I have seen that in India, if you have to monetize content shown in Tier 3, Tier 4, a popular example people used to give me is, look at न्यूज़पेपर में आप टियर 3, टियर 4 न्यूज़पेपर वर्नैकुलर में एडवर्टाइजिंग रेट्स देख लो. इट्स लाइक डर्ट चीप, राइट? सो ड्रॉ पैरेलल फ्रॉम देयर एंड सी दैट ओके, उस टियर 3, टियर 4 ऑडियंस के आईबॉल्स के लिए हु इज गोइंग टू पे फॉर इट, राइट? एंड वी आर क्लियरली सेइंग एड्स नहीं करना है, और एड्स इज वन अनदर पॉसिबल. एड्स इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी 60-70%. maybe at the moment it looks like that's the first monetization. Ads will come. That's where it will go to, but that's why I was curious that who will pay for such content, especially let's say tier 3, tier 4, which are paying 2-3 rupees. Is today it's getting views, but will they pay for subscription? And if they are, then are there early signs for it? Then would love to know.
So sorry, before you come in, Rahul, I just wanted to show you this, Chirag. Look at this, right? This is Radio Mirchi Bangla, 3 million subscribers. They have stories, horror stories. जैसे अपना ये कुकू FM और सब भी कर रहे हैं ना. There is drama, there is horror, same genres. Now even the radio guys are monetizing, and this is AI. The statics are AI, by the way, and it's all audio, right? And you see, every day they upload one story, and it's part 2, part 3, right? Exactly, they are following this. And I'll tell you the interesting part.
But ये तो लंबा नहीं लग रहा है.
नहीं, छोटे-छोटे.
This looks like a 1 hour 43 minute.
This guy used to, so I was just checking, right? This guy used to be a very classic radio guy for, again, Bengali. Now he started his own channel, and he now also has 1.5 million subscribers. Like, he is now saying the similar. He's just creating stories, and I'm sure a lot of them are AI generated scripts. The static is AI, and he just narrates them. And people listen to this over, let's say, 1 hour. And again, he'll release an episode every day or something like that. So if you see the number of subscribers, you can see the potential of every genre. So let's take genres, right? Let's take horror, drama. Sex is always the biggest genre, right? I mean, soft porn, whatever it is. That's where I think everywhere starts. Most of these industries start, but then they evolve to deep comedy, drama, horror. Anything else, Rahul, that you think is big in terms of genres?
So one other one which I've seen is romance wala bhi hai.
So let's take these 4 into number of people who speak Hindi and prefer Hindi content, number of people who speak Bengali or Tamil. These are all large, like 200 million लोग हैं यार जो ये languages में converse सुनना prefer करेंगे. Like I could argue there could be 8 different companies, just 8 to 10 companies doing one of these segments, doing like horror really well, like horror in Bangla or romance in Tamil could become your mainstay. Because you train your AI models or you have your initial talent like that and you build that repertoire and then you expand obviously. So wedge तो बहुत है इसमें, if you think about it.
And Chirag, I think your question is still valid कि tier 3 audience पे subscription से कितना बड़ा business बनेगा. But I'll tell you as an investor, I've been positively surprised. Like I never thought कि audio से $30-40 million की revenue बन जाएगा India. But बन गया 5-6 साल. So if we think 5-6 years ahead now, at least I'm willing to take a bet कि different segments से पैसे तो आ जाएंगे. वो subscription, micro payment, I have no idea कि कितना किसका आएगा. But possible है. And I think once we touch a certain discretionary income, all of us, basically it is entertainment spend that we are putting our money behind. Right?
No, because Rahul, although you are right that we can't project his future from history only, but at least I have seen that content में B2C companies India में कहाँ बनी है? Like you look at it, Times of India tried a lot. As a group, they tried doing multiple things. Then I think ShareChat went through this cycle. Now I'm hearing that they are $100 million in revenue now. But from the amount of capital which has gone in, उससे तब मेरे को at least I am not able to recollect any large names or large successes. Largely because वो pool ही छोटा है, and two, at least when I speak to technology people say that ये ads engine बनाना is a very complicated game.
Agreed.
Right? It's not easy. If let's say any company were to build it only for revenue pool of India, probably Google और Meta भी नहीं बना पाते. Right? Because they have built it for US and that is getting used here. Otherwise, this ads engine building is a very complicated, hard stuff.
Not only that, I think a lot of these companies don't have enough data about the user. So,
Exactly.
Right? Meta के पास इतना डेटा है कि वो सेगमेंटेशन के मतलब उसका इम्पैक्ट दिखता है ना हम लोगों को जब हमारी कंपनियां स्पेंड करती हैं उनके ROI आता है. Right? And at least I would say कि I would be more bullish on ads on the conversational वाला part because वहाँ पे आपका यूजर को बहुत information available. I think on the content side, most likely it will be user paid kind of a model. Is at least our current thinking. So valid point, मतलब no denial on that piece. Content की अच्छी कंपनी नहीं बनी वो भी सही बात है. But at the same time, content का cost of production was very high till, right? And at least with shorter format and AI, hope is कि you should be able to do it at much lower cost. I was talking to one of our portfolio companies yesterday only कि why is none of these IPs emerged from UGC platform कि यार YouTube पे इतने सारे episodes free हो जाते हैं, famous हो जाते हैं, उसकी कोई movie क्यों नहीं बनाता है? And the point was कि movie बनाना is a big bet you are taking. So just because वो IP YouTube पे famous हो गई doesn't mean कि वो कोई उसके लिए X crore rupees whatever 10-15-20 करोड़ जो रुपए लगते हैं movie बनाने वो लगाएगा. बट उसकी अब शॉर्ट फॉर्म वीडियो कंटेंट बहुत आसानी से बना सकते हो. उसकी एपिसोड बना सकते हो. अगर कोई एक पर्टिकुलर 2 एपिसोड फेमस हो गए तो उसको आप 100 एपिसोड में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हो.
Yeah. And I think we discussed that, right, Chirag, in Anand's episode also, and we put a little bit color on that today, that the rough numbers for products, services, content, or interaction, right? We spoke about like Astro Talk is 100 million plus, Friend is 40-50 million, Seco is 50 million, Ilo 50 million, ShareChat 100 million, Cuckoo FM 100 million. Like clearly tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 में there's enough payment capacity and 100 million, and most of these are profitable at 100 million. They are not burning money at 100 million. So it's not like, if you look at your core consumer tech, which was built on, let's take e-commerce for example. Flipkart is still not profitable today, right? तो कितना क्या AI लगा कि वो कहाँ से cost cut करेंगे? In fact, this is an engine which seems much more beautiful, जहाँ पे clearly there is a wedge. People are ready to pay. Micro transactions are possible. Micro subscriptions are possible. Let's leave aside for a moment that some dark patterns should not exist on UPI autopay, but over time they will go away. Abhi initial stage तो थोड़ा सा maybe people are being a little exuberant and these dark patterns exist. But even without that, over time, as Rahul is saying, take a 4-5 year out view, you don't seem to have a very high cost of serving this, which is unlike e-commerce or quick commerce, right? That's the broad. And let me ask you this, Rahul, right? You've been a VC, what, 15, 16, 20 years, right?
हाँ 18 ज्यादा डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे बट
पहले 15 साल में तो यही हुआ है ना दिक्कत कि यार बहुत पैसा लगता है इंडिया में टू स्केल एंड टू मेक मनी, राइट? Clearly, if you look at the amount of money these guys have raised, ShareChat is an exception, उसको साइड में रखते हैं because they have pivoted too many times to arrive at this. But again, the people who are starting today are getting to scale and profitability much faster than before. And I know UPI autopay was a game changer, but even beyond that, now with AI coming in, it will only get cheaper, as Rahul was saying. So I would disagree, Chirag, on the point कि यार इंडिया में कैसे पैसे बनेगा. आई थिंक वो तो अब क्लियरली ब्रेक हो गया है. एड्स क्योंकि मॉडल को यूज ही नहीं कर रहा है. Everybody is now skipping ads, as Rahul said, right? US में people pay, China में people are doing ads. India में ads वाला model was a struggle, but non-ads पे if people are willing to pay, and I mean today only I saw my Amazon Prime, even though I paid 1,500 for it, now they started showing ads and saying pay more if you don't want to see ads, right? So like YouTube used to show 2-3 ads, अब साला 15 ad दिखाता है. That's why I was forced to. So it almost seems like brings so much friction in ads. इतना दिमाग खराब कर दो कि you end up paying कि नहीं यार content देखना है. अगर अच्छा है content तो you will end up paying, and India seems to be paying for it. So I think I agree with Rahul here कि already ये तो दिख गया है, prove हो गया है, and this will only accelerate even more.
No, Rahul, what are you seeing? I think basis your investments, that is India getting premiumized, or जैसे for example, if I go back to the Indus Valley report, it said that rich is getting richer. It's not that it is getting white based. What are you seeing, from overall premiumization thesis? Of course, India is getting rich, but is it equal? Is it even, or is it getting lopsided in one direction? What's your what are you seeing?
To be very frank, I don't think I have a great data or insight to at a macro level, at an economic level, because I don't know which data to trust, unfortunately. When I go to a restaurant, even a regular restaurant in Sarjapur, मतलब weekend पे तो what is happening I don't understand. वो 5 से 7 के slot में आ जाओ, फिर 7 बजे बाहर निकाल देंगे, because 7 से 9 का एक अलग slot है. मतलब that is consumption. आप travel देख लो, everybody is flying. So ऐसा नहीं है कि only rich people are spending money. People are spending on experiences of different kinds. Right? Now, I don't want to claim कि I know every Indian और मेरे को हर city का पता है. But all I'm saying is there's some examples. हमारी company Lumio करके they launched a brand of smart TVs, right? उन्होंने 42, 50, 55 इंच के 3 sizes and 55 में 2 models launch की. Make cheaper, एक महंगा. उन्होंने जब बनाए, because इसमें थोड़ा time लगता है, 2 महीने लगते हैं assemble और सब होने में, तो उन्होंने सबसे ज़्यादा 42 इंच के बना दिए. सबसे ज़्यादा निकल कौन से रहे? 55 और 55 का हायर वर्जन. डिमांड क्या आ रही है? 65 बनाओ हमारे कस्टमर्स की तरफ से कि 65 नहीं है क्या? Where are they selling? They are selling more in tier 3 cities than tier 1 cities. Well, I can't understand why would somebody buy. Sorry, I do want people to buy. But how is somebody in tier 3 getting confidence on an unknown brand paying 60,000 rupees? Right? It is so bizarre. But and which is why I just struggle कि यार, and yes, I understand macro level पे हम लोग बोलते हैं कि rich is getting richer, poor man उसके पास टैक्स बहुत देना पड़ रहा है ये और वो, but which is why I just struggle. मुझे लगता है कि अगर फाउंडर किसी गैप को समझ पा रहा है और उसके लिए बना रहा है, एटलीस्ट फर्स्ट 2 years देयर इज इनफ बिजनेस टू बिल्ड. यस, 500 करोड़ से 1000 करोड़ पे पहुंच पाओगे नहीं पहुंच पाओगे, वो जर्नी है कि वो एक वंस यू स्टार्ट बिग सेइंग कि मैं पूरे सेगमेंट को केटर करना चाह रहा हूँ या पूरे इंडिया को केटर करना चाह रहा हूँ. समटाइम्स वो होता है कि हर there is only so much you can cater with that price point, so you figure out another brand, you figure out another pricing strategy, वो सब होता है. बट जहाँ मैं बैठा हूँ मुझे आई डोंट फाइंड फाउंडर सेइंग यार हमारा तो मार्केट टैप आउट हो गया बिकॉज कंज्यूमर्स आर नॉट विलिंग टू.
No, correct. I think we'll let economists answer that
But
question over time.
to that point, Chirag,
But,
I have a different view. For consumption, I would rather start looking at GST collections, which keep growing 10% like clock. Yeah. अगर GST collection बढ़ रहे हैं year on year 10% बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, then consumption is going in the right direction, right? That is one.
No,
I know.
The question
Let
is
me
not
cut the second point also, right? Why are we assuming that people have to get richer to spend? That's what Rahul is alluding to is that, right? Like end May, Dream Sports would be what, $1 billion revenue business, Rahul, after take rate. So there is like $4 billion of gaming being done esports just on Dream Sports. So if you take the entire industry, it would be close to $15-20 billion of spend from tier 2 to tier, like even tier 1 people pay, but from an economic strata perspective, you're all economic strata, right? गरीब से गरीब आदमी esports खेल रहा है. Then you go to the gambling apps, right? Which is not even like game of skill, game of luck. Let's go to game of luck. My view is it's looked at as a form of entertainment. So in the end, if I have 10 rupees to pay for entertainment, I am happy to pay that as long as I am getting. I would argue, Chirag, that people have not figured out how to give a person who is earning, let's say, only 30,000-40,000 rupees a month. उसकी खुशी के लिए क्या देना चाहिए उसको, वो solve नहीं कर रहा था कोई. Right? If you are expecting that a PVR cinema or a 10-minute delivery is the only thing that they're looking for, maybe that was the misunderstanding that we had as a country. But finally, people are figuring out, like the esports guys did, कि यार, if you want to reach beyond the first 200 million people, like even Misho's transacting base is about 200 million people, right? Then the next 500 million, उनके खुशी के लिए आपको कुछ figure out करना पड़ेगा. Maybe we should give credit to these guys for just figuring that out. And it's not like they're, by the way, none of these guys are making massive ARPU. Huh? It is $10 a year, Chirag. $10 a year is nothing. But the base is so big that वो multiplier बहुत बड़ा लग जाता है ना.
Correct. Which is what at least the same satirization thesis that ₹1 का सामान बेच रहे हैं, but because the volume is so huge and India has the luxury of that kind of population.
But argue that Unilever cracked that first.
Ends up becoming
₹1 का शैम्पू जो आप satirization बोल रहे हो.
Correct. So this is that era
करोड़
again.
जो बना रहा है वो, उसमें से 40,000 करोड़ तो या नॉन रिच पीपल से ही बना रहा है यूनिलीवर. अब वो 40,000 करोड़ का if they buy a ₹1 sachet shampoo also, because they also want to have clean hair and look good or be fairer and stuff like that, this always follows into that. I think this was just an untapped market, if you ask.
Yeah. I think you have rightly put it that if Unilever can claim that we have made the country hygienic by doing satirization, I think this leads to more happiness, hopefully, or more entertainment at least.
What else are you seeing, Rahul, on the AI consumer tech space?
See, outside of entertainment content, I would say I am very positive on somebody solving for education using AI. I think as a country, we face a problem of not having good teachers. Some edtech companies came in, but finally most of them realized either they need an offline center or they need a teacher teaching to 1,000 kids on a seminar or what, right? Small batch, large batch, जो भी था. वो still didn't solve the problem. The advantage of AI is it can almost act like a human being. So the interactivity part gets missed in a lot of the large batch programs. It can understand the student. It doesn't today provide the social part. जो social interaction school में होता है या आप tuition class में जाते हो जो होता है, वो part missing है. But lot of other teacher-like behavior can be imparted using pure AI. Right? And I think in language and all, there are global platforms who are trying to do it. But I think in, let's say, teaching math, teaching science, teaching biology, today, I think at least for simpler courses or simpler exams, it is
what
possible.
Duolingo
without
did
a
for
human.
languages globally, because we have a large population in India who's still STEM focused, which is math, science, etc. You think that's a play that is possible with the lower cost of reasoning and inference and communication with AI?
Bilkul. Yeah. And again, I would say I'm in education AI. I'm there where I was a year back in consumer AI. कि enough founders बना नहीं रहे. I think sometimes they're colored कि यार education edtech is kind of have a negative connotation from investors, but I think one can really build an interesting company.
Very cool.
थोड़ी सी मेहनत लगेगी शुरू में, बिकॉज आपको उस कोर्स के लिए, उस एग्जाम के लिए बनाना पड़ेगा उसकी ट्रेनिंग और द मॉडल, अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि उस एग्जाम में क्या चाहिए या उस कोर्स में क्या चाहिए, ग्रेड 7 स्टेट बोर्ड में क्या पढ़ा रहे हैं, क्या आता है एग्जाम में, कैसे एग्जाम ग्रेड होता है एंड ऑल दैट स्टफ, वो करना पड़ेगा. बट I think एक बार हो जाए तो it's a very interesting.
It's a good wedge, no? Like CBSE would be the largest board. So CBSE Maths and CBSE Science itself would be a good wedge to get in, and then go from there. And you can do the same UPI micro payment, no? Here also.
इसमें माइक्रो पेमेंट नहीं करने की जरूरत है. Actually, see, this is K12.
And whatever the parents would say ना कि अगर बच्चा को actually my view is tell you, because I'll tell you one aspect which is very hard to do in the edtech space, which is the purchaser is different, as you said, and the consumer is different, right? So we have this kids health brand jahan the decision maker is the mother, and then the product is consumed by the child, and the child has to love it, otherwise retention nahi aata hai, right? And the mother has to feel that when I spend this initial capital 500 rupees or 600 rupees, मेरे बच्चे को ये पसंद आएगा करके, because that itself is a friction, right? बच्चे को टेस्ट पसंद आएगा कि नहीं करके. In this case, again the satisfaction work, right? Like I will see the first 1 week if my child is using this app and actually learning. Then I will want to pay for it for a while till I know it is being useful कि एग्जाम में नंबर कैसे आए, because in the end we are still a number centric country, right? कि एग्जाम में अच्छे नंबर आए, चलो ठीक है. Then I would love, whereas I think what edtech did before was 50,000 रुपए पहले दो तो ही हम आपको पूरा साल का वो करेंगे, राइट? या तो आई मीन द एक्सट्रीम वाज पे फॉर 4 years 2 lakh rupees, लोन ले लो एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट. व्हाट यू आर सेइंग कुड बी एन इंटरेस्टिंग अप्रोच, बिकॉज यू आर नॉट क्रिएटिंग ऑल द कंटेंट इन वन गो. यू आर आल्सो सेइंग अच्छा अब और इनफ बच्चे आ गए 8th स्टैंडर्ड में तो अब उसका कंटेंट भी बना लेंगे करके हम ऑन द फ्लाई पर से, लाइक यू आर डूइंग विद द ड्रामा सीरीज एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट.
Maybe वहाँ पर भी I think it gets down to a little bit of doubt solving as the first use case. कि पढ़ आप स्कूल में लो, and then maybe you come back and you are asking for one smaller doubt, you go there and then that gets answered, and that's where micro payments get triggered. वैसा कुछ are you seeing?
See, if you think of teaching, right? एक होता है concept पढ़ाना किसी बच्चे को, फिर उसके doubt solve करना, फिर उसको practice कराना. Broadly 3 bucket में सब कुछ cover हो जाता है. तो doubt solving could be a very interesting wedge. But I feel कि अगर किसी से it's worth the effort if you can be the main primary source versus being a peripheral source over a period of time, right? So today concept teaching it might be harder just using pure AI. So जो आपके वीडियो रिकॉर्डेड होंगे शायद वो ओके हो जाएंगे, but as AI becomes interesting, your videos can be AI generated. But today you can create interactivity within video also with AI. कि आप 5वें मिनट और 23rd सेकंड में आपने क्वेश्चन पूछा, नाउ एआई नोज कि वीडियो में 5वें मिनट में क्या टॉपिक पढ़ा रहे थे, इवन विद इन दैट ब्रॉडर टॉपिक ऑफ 10 minute वीडियो, राइट? सो इट कैन रिस्पॉन्ड अकॉर्डिंगली. तो इट एक्ट लाइक अ टीचर. सेपरेट डाउट सॉल्विंग इज डिफरेंट कि मैंने स्कूल में पढ़ा बट मुझे इसमें डाउट आ रहा है, एंड देन प्रैक्टिस इज प्रैक्टिस, राइट? वो तो सबसे इजीएस्ट टॉपिक है.
वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. सो
yeah, so
though the audience will be very disappointed. What you're saying is, when you're saying last year I was excited in content and micro dramas, are you no longer excited because you have taken enough bets? Because the audience
no, I feel good कि अब मुझे खुशी है कि बहुत सारे लोग बना रहे. So at least I was disappointed कि लोग बना ही नहीं रहे थे. मतलब हम इतने खुश, हम पॉजिटिव हैं बट फाउंडर्स ही नहीं मिल रहे थे. अभी वो एजुकेशन में है कि हम पॉजिटिव हैं बट नॉट इनफ फाउंडर्स.
So any operator listening to this, if they feel excited, should reach out to you and say कि यार हम बनाएंगे एजुकेशन में कुछ तो करके. But should the content guys not reach out? Or is that game done?
हाँ नहीं we should. हमने ऐसा कोई see we have not like made lots of investment. We would love to make a lot of those categories I showed. We are still not there in terms of making an investment. So yeah, health भी बहुत interesting है. मतलब obviously there is a one part of health which is doctor requirement. तो वहाँ पे थोड़ा सा आपको human assisted करना पड़ेगा. But then there is a let's say health coach, right? आपको एडवाइस दे रहे हैं कि खाना का आपने पिक्चर ले लिया और बताएगा कि यार इज दिस हेल्दी फॉर यू और नॉट हेल्दी फॉर यू, ये कितनी कैलोरीज कंज्यूम करनी है, क्या नेक्स्ट करो. दोस काइंड ऑफ यूज केसेस, मतलब अगेन इट्स अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी यूज केस.
Equivalent can be now fully done with AI. You can layer that with advice and let's say a paid subscription model where every day somebody is egging you on कि आज यार तुम चले नहीं हो. Like me and Chirag wear a Whoop and I'm sure we keep tracking, like my son now tracks my recovery, right, in that sense. And we are almost anal to the fact कि अच्छा यार we know now what are the markers or what to do during the day so as to get a good sleep and good recovery so that you can, you know, do a good job tomorrow as well. But I think all of these ideally can be automated using a AI nudge more and more. It's just that the wedge for why someone will download the app will always be a question.
हाँ, so मतलब different founders come up with different wedges and वो थोड़ा सा founder के भी dependent है कि वो किस wedge से start करेगा, right? As I was saying, picture लेके start कर सकता है, right? Somebody might say कि मेरे
Correct.
आपके बैंड से लिंक कर दूंगा and उसके basis पे I'll generate recommendations for you. So अलग-अलग. The other part that is happening, if you see WhatsApp, right? उनका, I don't know if you guys have seen, there is this almost like an AI app store inside WhatsApp. So lot of initial usage is coming from there. आपका bot जो है पहले दिन WhatsApp पे चलता है, 3 महीने तक WhatsApp पे चलेगा, फिर आपको बोलेगा ऐप डाउनलोड करो.
So say more. Sorry, I didn't see this. You're saying you could effectively, as a business, you could go and sit in somebody's WhatsApp as a AI bot.
हाँ, तो आप, मैं बताता हूँ, अगर आप प्लस साइन पे क्लिक करो ऊपर, there is a chat with the eyes.
Plus, oh no, I didn't see.
Do you see that?
Chat with the eyes, right?
अब इसके अंदर जाओ आप, AI Studio आता है, and you can do a view all. अभी बहुत सारे apps नहीं है इसमें, but आप view all करो, वो popular AI दिखा रहा है, but आप view all करो.
Wow, I didn't see this only.
I had seen this in Instagram. I didn't know that it has come on WhatsApp.
People are finding users coming from here. अब ये कितना interesting है because WhatsApp तो सभी के पास है ना.
Oh, this is so cool, yeah. Oh, you're an astrologer also. I just found an astrologer. You're right. I should. My team is going to be very unhappy. So some of them listen to the podcast and they're like, यार आप फिर एक idea लेके आ गए करके. But thank you, Rahul, for this. My tech team is going to hate me now because next quarter का OKR में नया ऐड कर रहा हूँ एक. चिराग हंस रहा है कि यार उसके पास कंप्लेंट आएंगे.
मैं खुद सोच रहा हूँ कि इस पे तो affiliate भी बन सकता है. ये why can't I distribute coupons here?
It was very cool, yeah. But is this a part of the WhatsApp monetization, the chat with AI?
I have no idea. I don't know.
WhatsApp monetization is coming on updates. The notification which came yesterday, WhatsApp ads is coming on updates, which is your stories as well as your channels. So it will come in the story as one of the sponsored and then in channels.
Got it.
So those two not in the main chat, nothing on what we were discussing.
Very cool, यार. Very, very cool. But ये एक initial जो डर था, लेकिन अब नहीं है ना. Just going back to the content piece, like, you know, people used to hate VCs, Rahul, when everyone used to say, but ये तो Google कर लेगा, ये तो Meta कर लेगा. अब वो question नहीं आता है. Like when people are doing these content studio kind of businesses or saying that we'll become the short form Netflix version for India, you don't get the question कि यार ये Netflix क्यों नहीं करेगा या so on and so forth. At least that seems to have gone away now fully. At least that used to happen 8-10 years back in our ecosystem.
No, I think that's not the case. I think we've seen some of the larger companies, while they have good skill, they've not been able to solve the content problem of India. So in that context, I think Indian companies do have a head start. They can think afresh. They can think very differently. First of all, a lot of these contents are more horizontal, scrollable content. Netflix is more vertical. So there are some basic things. No, they can launch. They can launch games. They can launch 5 other things. Possible है. But हम उस चीज को लेके परेशान नहीं हो सकते. मतलब we can't make new investment because of that. हो जाएगा तो we'll see at that time कि who wins that game.
अरे मुझे लगता है कि Amazon, Netflix ये सब लॉन्च करेंगे, बट आई थिंक एज राहुल ऑल्सो सेड ना, मार्केट्स इज एक्सपेंडिंग, देयर आर gaps, clear gaps in terms of building local solutions, which none of these global companies actually till date I have seen focusing deeply on India and making product-wise deep India solution. They will have a team which will service India clients, but serving or making product features for India, probably I haven't seen that happen. This is where, because the market is expanding, you can actually afford and put those newer solves and capture the market. They'll coexist, but I think there are emerging large winners there.
Actually, customer insighting कभी उस depth पे की नहीं है ना. If I think about a winning Pocket FM, which was audio first, or then Cuckoo and so on and so forth, or a Seekho, which was the quest for tier 2, tier 3 India to sort of learn and improve and get a job and just get better at something, right? All of these insights are very nuanced to what India or Bharat needs per se, which none of these global companies will be able to solve for. Like, I mean, except for maybe GPay, I don't think the last global product that has really done well in India. Would GPay be the last one? I mean, you could argue that YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels have also got enough adoption, but effectively what we're saying is that adoption is not satiating the real demand of India, which is why these products need to exist per se. And now we've seen enough success stories to get the confidence that this will continue. We will keep, like how Unilever had to figure out what Unilever India needs to do is something different. We need different brands. We need a different strategy. That same concept will need to get applied, and none of these global guys are able to at least focus on that micro segmentation of the heterogeneity that we have in our population per se. Also, the size of price is not large enough, right? Like, even if I see Pocket FM अगर $150 ARPU बना रहे हैं US में और profitable है, और इंडिया में $10 बना रहे हैं, और अब I know they can try and follow and say कि okay, we'll do. That's why the Pocket TV has been launched to hopefully capture the micro drama segment and say कि we'll do better here as well. But वो अब large company में resource allocation, I'm assuming, is now going to that, $150 ARPU, which is where I think we discussed this with Sameer also, right? Chirag, कि एक बार एक brand बड़ा जाता है, एक segment बड़ा जाता है, फिर resource allocation और prioritization फिर वहीं जाती है. To do an innovation in this is going to be very, very hard.
For an emerging market, it's like one emerging segment is expected to grow. Today, it's contributing less than 1% of the overall revenue. As a CEO, if you take that call, I'm sure they're going to get a beating on the stock exchange.
Call has to be taken.
That's why I think launching a Pocket TV makes sense, right? अलग ही एक बना दो app करके. You can fund it, and maybe someone, क्योंकि from what I hear, 2-3 of these teams are all ex-Pocket FM only. तो ऐसा नहीं कि टैलेंट नहीं है उनके पास. इनफैक्ट दे वुड हैव रियलाइज कि भाई हमारा ही टैलेंट जाके नई कंपनी खड़ी कर रहा है, तो हम ही कर लेते हैं ना करके. It's an interesting, like you had the Flipkart mafia in between creating different kind of companies. It's almost like, though many people don't know how large Pocket FM is, it's almost like a Pocket FM mafia creating micro drama apps across the country, and all seem to be getting good initial traction because they know the initial way of कि स्क्रिप्टिंग कैसे करनी है, या फर्स्ट 2-3 टैलेंट्स क्या है.
ये नेटवर्क इफेक्ट सब चीजों में चलता है. So it flows from company building also, that if you get to know, okay, content media कैसे बनाते हैं. We have seen this in case of Ultra Human also, wherein you know how to build physical this hardware products. Now we are seeing startups come out. So ये तो ambition also travels in network effects, and startup skills also in network effects, and I would want to believe some amount of moats also in network effects.
But Chirag के business is very safe from all of this, Rahul, because उसके business के network effect ऐसे है, टीम छोड़ के जाए, बोले कि हम एक और GoKwik बनाएंगे, बोले कि मर्चेंट तो हमारे पास है, तुम्हारे पास सॉफ्टवेयर बना के क्या ही कर लोगे करके. So we always keep making fun of The fact that Chirag is the only one
Yes.
playing infinite games. मैं और शांतनु तो finite game खेल रहे हैं. Same होता है ना, brand में एक wedge मिल जाता है. Like I'm sure you would have seen, you were part of the Honasa journey, right? I'm sure you've seen some ex Honasa folks saying, अच्छा अब skincare में ये नया trend आ रहा है, हम यहाँ पे एक brand बनाएंगे करके types. So I think that always continues.
हाँ
राहुल, ये लोग मेरी टांग खींचते रहते हैं. आई एंडेड अप गिफ्टिंग हिम दैट बुक फाइनाइट एंड इनफाइनाइट बुक्स. तब से वो मेरे को बोल रहा है कि इनफाइनाइट जर्नी में, whereas the book was gifted with that purpose कि let's understand what this guy is trying to say so that we can implement. For sure not on that kind of a journey where we are far from being infinite.
maybe I'm sure all. As I said, I think there are so many good businesses to be built in India. So I'm.
That's
At least from outside, I believe both of you are building some very interesting companies. So that's good.
इंटरेस्टिंग जरूर बना रहे हैं. अब वो ड्यूरेबिलिटी और इनफाइनाइट अलग चैप्टर है.
ठीक है, मतलब वो तो
वो question
No,
बहुत जल्दी आएगा राहुल. Like now the favorite exit for most private investors is कि यार let's go public, right? So I keep telling my team also that it's not that easy. You will need to really exhibit the predictability and durability of a business at a very different level if you want to go public, right? Like that's the real test. Like they prefer to see founders or at least management teams play infinite games in that sense.
नहीं होता है. That is true. Yeah. I think the other area that I am very bullish, which we didn't talk enough about, is this whole AI for
Okay.
shopping. And we are seeing few companies there as जैसे AI stylist हो गया, right? AI doing search for you, which one can argue will become part of Perplexity or one of those companies. So I think वो भी, or just in terms of what will go well with what, in some sense, what should I wear today? There are a lot of those things, or finding something similar someplace else. कि मुझे ये ड्रेस अच्छी लगी, इसका पिक्चर खींचा, but which other 3 platforms can I buy this on? So that is another area which I don't think, मतलब at least I feel कि standalone business नहीं है वो, but it's a very interesting way to become a
think
full-fledged
like a
commerce
Jungli. The early
Yeah.
2000s में Jungli
That's
था. Jungli equivalent से you can start, which is a meta. So by the way, very people don't know, Chirag used to have a business before this, which was the meta food delivery business. Like he would be, it was called, maybe Chirag you can explain business क्या था, but that was the wedge to be a meta search engine and then power commerce. But you're right, standalone business very, very hard to build there.
No, I think we ended up discussing this in the quick commerce episode also.
अच्छा.
That I think if you create a 10x better experience on AI stylist and then match it with inventory,
Yeah.
then I think 15-minute delivery in fashion can be at least attempted that way. Right? वो पूरा ही experience change करना पड़ेगा, right? Wherein okay, I have this which inventory which can be serviced, and then can you basis my taste and what I want to wear today, basis weather, etc. Can you do that? In that, I think the only challenge which at least Rahul, what I was reading is, and is that cost of let's say reading, downloading, and then an image is still high. Voice is getting there, but doing those images and then understanding and then objectifying that, okay, this is what you're trying to buy is still high. I don't know how people are solving for it. But at least at the moment, that's one cost of inferencing which continues to be a blocker. जो कि मुझे दिख रहा है. I might be unaware in terms of, let's say, people would have figured out different ways, but opportunity legit है वो. Right, and as India becomes premiumized, we will see that a lot of expenditure will happen on fashion.
Yes.
Which is discovery led, which is I can go on in terms of वो बढ़ता ही रहने वाला.
Yeah. So yeah.
तो स्टाइलिंग में आप एक देख रहे हो और अराउंड AI shopping, what else? Let's say any other segment specific
So
thing?
there are few companies who are saying कि I will understand users' intent better, but there I feel कि AI first search engine will do a good job of understanding a user's intent, whether one needs a vertical quote unquote AI search engine. There is that doubt in mind, but there are founders who are thinking that way also.
Oh, wow.
For example, microdrama
right.
is all vertical short
But AI
videos, and that's like a one very key wedge. Key instead of horizontal, create everything in 9:16. You're saying even search will move to that, like because you're taking photos like that, then you are able to just. Yeah.
But search is already vertical, right? Like, तो वहाँ मतलब वो मुझे वो डाउट है कि स्टैंड अलोन बिजनेस होगा. मुझे लगता है ओवरऑल सर्च में आ जाएगा. बट AI स्टाइलिस्ट इज वेरी डिफरेंट. इट इज लाइक अंडरस्टैंडिंग रेवांत है, उसको क्या पसंद आ रहा है, उस पर क्या अच्छा लग रहा है, उसको बताओ पेयरिंग क्या कर सकते हैं. अगर so you kind of understand the user also
something that
over a period of time.
Glance recently launched. I saw Glance का बहुत कुछ PR हुआ था. Was it something similar?
The glance.ai thing, yeah.
Yeah, I could not go to that event, so मुझे exactly पता नहीं कि वो हो सकता है वो हो.
So what they actually, I know what, I don't know what they're trying to do, but I know what the app did.
Okay.
You upload your photo and then, they give you like 10 different styles of you looking in different backgrounds and different clothing. Right? It of course is inspiration that, okay, ये तो अच्छा लग रहा है. Okay, I'm supposed to go on a vacation. ये dress बढ़िया लग रहा है. It's not become shoppable at the moment. I think it's still taking to Myntra, or at least in my case, it was taking to some non-Indian websites. But the idea was similar, Rahul, that can you draw inspiration? I think there are people, you're right that there are people, it's a legit opportunity in white space as well. कि फैशन में अभी ये पता करना कि मेरे पे क्या फिट होगा, ह्यूज प्रॉब्लम, क्या अच्छा लगेगा, एंड देन कॉन्टेक्स्ट कीप चेंजिंग. फ्राइडे आई वांट टू वियर वेरी डिफरेंट टू लेट्स से क्वार्टर प्लानिंग एक्सरसाइज, इट्स वेरी डिफरेंट.
And there are some people who want to know कि इसकी जब
That's
प्राइस
always
गिर जाए
the
तो
biggest use case.
वो भी है. मतलब that is another use case in this कि आपको मिंत्रा पे एक ड्रेस अच्छी लगी, बट जब थोड़ी सी प्राइस कम हो जाता पता.
Yeah, that's the I think overall generally where it started, right? Which is over indexation on the price.
Yes.
Per se. But interesting you say. But you see this in shopping only. You don't see this beyond. Sorry, in fashion only. You don't see this beyond fashion because the others you are saying are not इतने complex decision making process नहीं.
हाँ, and they are more
Yeah.
price or maybe brand driven in some sense. वो बहुत exact. वो तो उसमें नहीं पता है कि मुझे 55 इंच का टीवी खरीदना है, कौन सी ब्रांड अच्छी है, पॉइंट ये क्या प्राइस में मिल रहा है, कहाँ पे. यहाँ पे the journey is much longer, right? Like a lot of people just keep stuff in their shopping cart. They don't buy.
Maybe home and decor will be another segment which will also have a need. Home and decor.
Home decor.
That will go through that similar cycle, but I think fashion pehle should explode.
Fashion is larger, higher frequency, so and it is very personal. Home decor becomes slightly more family के लिए. Right?
Family के लिए higher AOV, more consideration, more consultation between family members.
You would want to before buying just see ना कि यार मेरे फोटो देख के कैसा लग रहा है bookshelf कैसे. And I could argue that if you're buying 5,000, 6,000 rupee frames or shelves and stuff, like that higher AOV actually may help make the AI costs and all of this worth it. भाई बट टाइम छोटा है अभी भी, इतना होम डेकोर हम ऑनलाइन खरीदते नहीं है.
वो सॉल्व कैसे हो रेवंत इज विद ऑफलाइन स्टोर्स. मतलब you see furniture, most of it is still not bought online except very basic furniture, right? तो सबके सब ओमनी चैनल अप्रोच बोल सकते हो आप. इंस्टेड ऑफ हैविंग AR अप्रोच ऑफ सेइंग कि मेरे घर में कैसा दिखेगा, बेसिकली सेइंग मेरे को स्टोर में दिखाओ, वो एक रूम में रखा हुआ वहाँ पे कि लेआउट बना हुआ है बेडरूम का, तो एक बेड के साथ कैसा दिखेगा वो वहाँ जाके देख ले.
वो अभी इतना अच्छा नहीं है रेवंत. You can actually see that AR view on Amazon, wherein let's say you go to this home and decor section and try and put it on in your room, but it doesn't give you that kind of a feel that okay, it gives you conviction कि खरीद.
AI में काम नहीं हुआ है करके. I'm just saying technology
I think needs improvement.
Well, see,
कोई I think 10x better experience
Yeah,
नहीं है
that's a
which
fair
I can compare it with offline.
मतलब वहां पे जाओगे तो आपको लकड़ी की क्वालिटी भी देख लोगे, खोलोगे उसको,
yeah.
राइट, वो कलर एग्जैक्टली क्या पता चलेगा. अभी यहाँ वो पता
Yeah.
चल गया कि आपकी इस एरिया में कितना बड़ा
और
लगेगा,
I think
कैसा
the biggest
दिखेगा
still
अप्रोक्सीमेटली,
impact
बट
is
एग्जैक्ट फील.
fashion is very easy to return. एंड में ना राहुल मैं देखा है ये. आप देखो एंड में कपड़े की क्वालिटी भी चाहिए ना मेरे को, कैसा दिखेगा ठीक है, बट इन द एंड हाउ प्रीमियम इट लुक्स व्हेन पीपल सी मी इज आल्सो डिपेंडेंट ऑन व्हाट टेक्सचर ऑफ द क्लॉथ इज, हाउ डज इट फील ऑन माय स्किन. बट दोज आर थिंग्स दैट पीपल जैसे ऑर्डर करते रिटर्न कर देंगे,
Yeah.
नहीं मजा आया तो. फैशन में तो वो कर सकते हो ना, ये वाला बहुत तकलीफ होता है, अनपैक करो, असेंबल करो, फिर मजा नहीं आ रहा है, लकड़ी क्वालिटी अब रिटर्न करो, इट्स अ वेरी बिग पेन. सो पीपल स्टिल प्रेफर टू आई गेस डू दिस. एनीथिंग एल्स दैट यू आर सेइंग apart from these segments जो आप excited हो कि यार AI से we think that this industry will now have a step change and new models will emerge?
सी फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज में भी है थोड़ा सा, वहां पे एक क्वेश्चन रहता है कि एक्यूरेसी बहुत ज्यादा चाहिए, मतलब यू कांट बी रॉन्ग, राइट. सो यस यू कैन डू वेल्थ प्लानिंग फॉर समबडी इफ यू कुड अंडरस्टैंड, बट हाउ डू यू नो
वो भी तो
उसकी रिस्क
क्वेश्चन आंसर ही
प्रोफाइल.
करते हैं ना आज के जो वेल्थ मैनेजमेंट एप्स है, वो
also
तो
you-
क्वेश्चन ही बनाते हैं कौन से बहुत पर्सनलाइज सर्विस करने का.
How about consumers want? Now AI can make it more personal. I just feel it is too high stake a game. Like if I have to, let's say कि यार मेरे 5 लाख 10 लाख रुपए में इस एडवाइजरी के बेसिस पे मैं इन्वेस्ट करूँ, that might be too much of a risk. I still want वो ह्यूमन कनेक्ट, क्यों आके बताएगा कोई एक्सपर्ट है जो समझाया, मैं 4 क्वेश्चन और आंसर करेगा किसने किया. So I think वहाँ पे वो एक इशू रहा है.
But do you see, for example, there was a spate of wealth
right.
management apps doing well with leveraging YouTube content and building a large top of funnel audience, right? Now, wouldn't that happen? Let's say if AI inferencing costs are coming down and content costs are coming down, I could say that I will use AI say the most trendy information को break down करके
हाँ बिल्कुल.
okay, this is what will happen. Israel and Iran have started a war, and therefore these are the second order effects. These are the stocks that could do well. Just so much content can be created, right? Which will be micro size, bite size, which is on the fly, which is maybe better for decision making. I actually think India still, because of the low trust thing, I will still pay for content and learning and say decision तो मैं ही लूँगा. Like there is a reason why people still trade stocks themselves, right? FNO में इतना क्यों होता है सट्टेबाजी? क्योंकि लोगों को लगता है कि यार मुझे ज़्यादा पता है, right? We still have a smaller volume in a PMS, right? Than the volume which is going in सट्टेबाजी करने के लिए, right? So content could be a great wedge where then and पीछे trading APIs बनाना तो again you go into commerce only, but could be a great wedge for a new broker to emerge. Like I don't know if that's a play that you guys could think of.
So I like मतलब मुझे
Yeah.
ये मेरा पर्सनली, आई डोंट लुक एट फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज, सो अनफॉर्चुनेटली मैं थोड़ा सा आउटसाइड इन व्यू दे रहा हूँ विदाउट अंडरस्टैंडिंग द सेक्टर. आई फील कि पीपल, इट्स सच अ हाई स्टेक, पीपल वांट टू सी ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड बिफोर दे इन्वेस्ट ऑन इट, राइट? So there are a lot of things that go in your mind even if you're making a small investment. So we have a company which I would say in the slightly different angle, which is a company called GoKwik. Like again, it is in the fintech space, but what they do is they use AI to help people improve their credit score. तो पहले तो वो AI से कंज्यूमर की क्रेडिट रिपोर्ट पढ़ते हैं, मतलब आई कांट अंडरस्टैंड माई ओन क्रेडिट रिपोर्ट 40-50 पेज की जो होती है, तो पहले तो पढ़ते हैं. जनरली दीज आर पीपल इन पेन, पीपल हु हैव बीन डिफॉल्टेड ऑन 2-3 लोन्स. अब उनका क्रेडिट स्कोर 650 पहुंच गया, उसको कोई लोन ही नहीं दे देगा, राइट? एंड ही हैज नो वे ऑफ फिगरिंग आउट क्या करूं मैं. बेसिकली व्हाट दे डू इज पहले AI से पढ़ते हैं, फिर वीडियो जनरेट करते हैं एंड स्टेप बाय स्टेप ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम बताते हैं कि कैसे अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर इंप्रूव कर सकते हो आप. एंड देन दे मेक दोज ट्रांजेक्शंस आल्सो हैपन, कि अगर आपकी EMI को इक्वेटेड वीकली इंस्टॉलमेंट में कन्वर्ट करना है तो देयर इज एन अप्रोच टू डू इट, राइट? सो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स दैट दे डू, बट जो मेन रेवेन्यू ड्राइवर है, इट इज द AI कंटेंट व्हिच पीपल पे फॉर,
Yeah.
बिकॉज दे सी एन आउटकम एंड ऑफ 2 months 6 months कि उनका क्रेडिट स्कोर इंप्रूव हुआ है. तो ये थोड़ा सा, मतलब आई वुड से दिस इज एन एरिया वेयर you are in pain, you are willing to take an incremental step and you see an outcome and you continue paying, right? इन्वेस्टमेंट इन दैट सेंस इज स्लाइटली डिफरेंट वन बिकॉज वो जिसके लिए 50,000 बड़ी बात है उसके लिए 50,000 बड़ी बात है, राइट? और जिसके लिए 10 लाख बड़ी बात है 10 लाख बड़ी बात है, वो इतनी आसानी से कन्वर्ट नहीं होता सिर्फ कंटेंट पर.
What I was trying to go in Rahul is if I see the emergence of so many trading apps which are now all large, some of them obviously latched on to the digitization. Then post-COVID there was a big wave. Obviously we were making money, F&O became big, stock markets all went up. UPI micro payments became big, right? So in fact, from what I understand, 50% of UPI autopay is actually SIPs today in the country, right? So all of these have helped, let's say, 7-8 apps become big. But today, if I have to come up, see, building a trading app is not a hard problem. But how do you get people to transact on you? It's not just a cool UI UX or saying that I have F&O, this guy didn't have F&O. Or I have a faster, refresh of the pricing is every second and not every 3 seconds. पहले ये सब छोटे-छोटे वेज पे नए apps बन गए. I think you guys had invested in this company called Front Page, which was building a community-led trading eventually, right? कि community बनेगी जहाँ पे discussion होगा, financial advice होगी in the community. And then people would pay for and find experts to maybe pay for and stuff. It's a very nuanced, I think, approach. But ऐसे कुछ approach बन सकते हैं मुझे लगता है अभी in fintech.
I agree. I now understood what you're saying. In fact, there is an alternative space where I've seen it work, which is in astrology. I will not name the company, but there is a company which is a human astrologers. उसी पे basis है. Because the tech guy was slightly more, forward-looking. They build a top of the funnel AI astrology which is just for basic stuff. कि आप every day की आप अपनी whatever forecast सुन लो, simple questions answer कर लो. Basically engagement funnel. फिर जब पैसे देने की बात आई तो आपको actual astrologer से बात करा देते हैं.
Because now today in the it's a cutthroat space, right? Everybody has a fast app where everybody is saying zero brokerage, right? So, or F&O पे थोड़ा बहुत पैसा बना लो and everybody is profitable, everybody is very large. So, for you to get in now, content could be a very unique leverage to get in.
Very nice.
चलो, at least इसमें कुछ दिखेगा रितेश को बोलना फिर at least angel check लेने के लिए. Great, sir. I think this was lovely episode. Thanks a lot for doing this. We missed Shantanu dearly. I think we became a very objective, nuanced discussion. Shantanu का तो हंसी मजाक ज़्यादा होता है. He's the fun guy amongst us. He's the guy who's like, यार तुम लोग बहुत seriously लेते हो ये सब यार. Let's look at the philosophical, entertaining view as to how we can enjoy the next 10 years. I think he sleeps the best among all of us. So clearly you can see the reason why. But appreciate you doing this, sir. Very, very helpful. I think at least I learned a few things. My team is going to get some pain because we don't have a AI assistant on WhatsApp. So thanks for that as well.